Happy New Year's everyone and welcome back to the channel. 2023 was a wild year to look back on in the video game industry. We saw some of the most insane game releases like Baldur's Gate 3, massive leaks from the Xbox FTC trial and Insomniac's malware hack, and layoffs to even the most prestigious studios like Naughty Dog. However, there was one story in 2023 that surpassed them all, Starfield. This game is the single most controversial game release ever, and I mean that. It was the 2023's most Googled game, which says a lot about the interest in Starfield. It was also one of the best-selling games of the year on NPD, Steam, and basically everywhere else you can buy games, even though it's on Game Pass. I'm sure it also brought in a ton of subscribers for Game Pass. And yet the discourse for this game has been persistent since the release, and even beforehand, with clickbait articles and shameless videos being made to get a piece of the sweet engagement interaction pie. I myself have over 100 hours in this game, and I'm also well into New Game Plus Plus, so I think I understand what works and what doesn't. But more importantly, I can weigh in on this game's biggest question. Why does the media hate Starfield? Let's not waste any more time. Buckle up, it's gonna get interesting. Okay, so the first thing we have to talk about here is the coverage of this game. When Xbox purchased Bethesda, it was one of the biggest moments in the industry, only to be surpassed once again by Xbox purchasing ABK. The big question though when they bought Bethesda was, will Starfield be exclusive to the Xbox or multi-platform? That question was answered by Phil Spencer when he revealed it would be exclusive. This was also later reconfirmed at a showcase with the big exclusive tag and everything. So why does this matter? Because once it was known to be an Xbox exclusive, the pressure for the game rose by about 30 megatons. You see, at the time, Xbox had a lackluster start to the new generation. Halo Infinite came out really well, but was a certified flop due to the content issues and broken promises of split screen. The other studios at Microsoft had a whopping 0 major AAA games delivered in 2022. In fact, the only game they managed to deliver from Microsoft's side was a murder mystery picture book style game led by a small team at Obsidian Studios. Of course, I'm talking about Pentiment. Starfield was supposed to be releasing in 11/11/22, but Bethesda had called their shot and this was going to be the big game they had for the holiday. Fortunately, the game was delayed due to polishing purposes, which I can understand given Bethesda's history. So Starfield was like the true second coming for Xbox owners. Even though it was delayed, they would finally have a massive title and exclusive to the Xbox that everybody wanted to play. Now the key words here are game of the generation. This is the expectation that was placed on this game, whether it was fair or not. IGN, GameSpot, and so many other outlets touted this game as a make or break for Xbox. Like this game was either going to be the console savior or its Grim Reaper. I think most of this coverage was hysteria for clicks based. Let's be real, Xbox wasn't just gonna die out if Starfield failed, and it also wasn't just gonna launch itself to the top of the food chain if Xbox had a successful release with Starfield. But it was the most important Xbox game release since Halo 3. I don't want to make it seem like this game had no expectations on it. The pressure was on, and Microsoft needed this game to be successful, but it wouldn't kill the Xbox if it wasn't. In any event, the damage was done. All of the hype around this game, all of the articles and the videos about this game reacting to so many different things that we got placed this game's expectations at an unreachable level, which leads us to the fan coverage of the game. And let me tell you, this is where it gets ugly. I think the best place to start with this is the stupid, ridiculous conversation around the game. Breaking news, everybody, you cannot land on a gas giant. I know, I was disappointed myself, but then I actually passed 8th grade science. Yeah, one of the funny things about Starfield is how it exposed people who literally are just stupid. There's a guy who was on Twitter, you may have heard of him, King Thrash. He set himself up as the biggest clown on the internet when he actually complained, unironically, about not being able to land on a gas giant planet. He then got community noted, which I gotta say, community notes is one of my favorite part about Twitter, and then of course he naturally doubled down on his bad take and even adding more to his bad take, stating that there are no jetpacks in real life in space, so how come there is no landing on gas giants? Of course he's wrong again, because you can have jetpacks in space. It's called oxygen propulsion, which is when they release oxygen into space to propel them to a different area that they weren't already in. Now, of course, he was going to throw rocks at this game and try and tear it down with ridiculous stuff about gas giants. I mean, he's a PlayStation fan, but there are other people who weren't PlayStation fanboys that were really against this game from the get-go. And a large group of people on Twitter and social media in general were really trying to tear this game down. It got so bad that the week of release, it was insufferable. I actually had to log off social media myself because it was just so bad. There was the 30 FPS drama, there was the creation engine drama, and then there was another whole dimension of discourse that came courtesy of one man. Before I talk about it though, let me just warn you, Starfield is woke. Ah yes, woke. The 2023 version of commie, a term used when you don't like something. Hate this sports team? Woke. Hate the way this person made your coffee? Woke. You hate that dog? Well, I don't know if anyone would call a dog woke, but let's be real, I wouldn't be surprised. This guy, heels versus babyface, added a whole other dimension of of discourse to an already toxic situation. Political discourse. It should be noted that he was also laughed at and made fun of ruthlessly, so don't worry, it was taken care of. But still, because he was so upset that they actually allowed you to choose pronouns in the game, an RPG game, it created an even more toxic environment with political discourse and fan discourse and fanboy discourse and then shameless videos from the media. It was really bad for Starfield and still is. I mean, seriously, take a look at how many times IGN, GameSpot, and PC Magazine posted the same "we gave it a 7" score. It was just so bad. And I will say, the guy for IGN who actually did the review, I think his name is Dan, told me that the reason they posted it a lot is because it could be somebody's first time seeing the review, so they wanted to make sure everybody saw it. Which is fair after about a week or two, or maybe even 3 after release, but to be posting it mid-October, hey, by the way, we gave Starfield a 7 after it's been out for basically a month and a half, it's kind of shameless. In any case, this leads us to the big question and answer of why does the media hate Starfield? It's pretty simple if you haven't put it together already. It sells. I mean, seriously, hating Starfield and writing up bad articles about it and talking about what's missing and what's bad about the game sells. You're guaranteed to get clicks and you're guaranteed to get some interactions. Starfield is like sex. If you hate Starfield, you're gonna get a lot of views. You're gonna get a lot of clicks. Just like if you have sex on TV or in a movie, you're probably gonna get a lot of people putting their eyes there. It's no wonder why Twitch is allowing the, artistic nudity thing to go on Twitch, because sex sells. Whether or not we agree with it, it's the truth, and this is the same answer for Starfield. Starfield being bad sells. And I can't even really be mad at it, because this is what the media is supposed to do. It's how they make their money. If something is going viral, they have to capitalize it, so I really can't be mad. And this is not me complaining at all. I love Starfield, and media or fan slander is not going to change that. But I do find it interesting that out of all the games to have this level of toxicity thrown its way, it was Starfield that stole the show. But once you make it through all of that, the toxicity, the impression farming, the general stupidity about gas giants, you actually do get to the good faith discussions about the game. Now, for context, I would have given this game a 9 out of 10. I think where Starfield succeeds most is the lore and story of the game. It's their best written work to date. You really get invested in this living, breathing universe, and it feels like every interaction you have can take you down a rabbit hole of endless possibilities. For example, I had a random ship come up to me and sell me lemonade from a little girl and her father. I bought the lemonade, but turns out it was actually orange juice, and I overpaid, gave her 50 credits instead of 5 credits, which is what she asked for, and then she left. It's little things like that that I really love about Starfield. Not to mention the combat is Bethesda's best combat to date. I can definitely see that they took a lot from id Software's Doom, and the ships and perks are really fleshed out and well done. It's not to say this game's perfect though, because the load screens are excessive. There are missing features like ground vehicles and world maps that would make the game 10 times more enjoyable if they were in the game. And Bethesda even said they're going to add that stuff later on in another update, maybe DLC 1, which is Shattered Space. They should also probably patch being encumbered, because that is the worst thing about the game. In any case, it still gave me 100 hours of fun, and I'm still working on it. But seriously, there are others who have given good faith takes and said similar things, and they just don't like this game. They genuinely think it's a boring game, and they think that Cyberpunk and Baldur's Gate 3 is better, which is fair game. But it's a damn shame that we couldn't have conversations like that, because they were buried under all of the noise, the hysteria, the toxicity. Still, despite all of this discourse, you would think Starfield was a flop, but you'd be wrong. Starfield actually was a breath of fresh air for Microsoft. It's the sign of a new era, because this game did numbers for them. In fact, this game is probably the biggest game of 2023 if you go off of sheer interactions, Google searches, sales, playtime. I mean, it's definitely up there with Diablo 4, Baldur's Gate 3. But Starfield truly felt like a cultural moment for Microsoft. A moment in time where everybody on Earth was talking about their game. Hell, even the people on gas giant planets inside of King Thrash's imagination were talking about it too. That is relevancy, and that is what Xbox needed. I hope they continue to pump out awesome titles like this. Hi-Fi Rush is another good example of them having everybody talking about their game. Of course, Hi-Fi Rush was amazing and everybody loved it, which really warms my heart because it really is an amazing game. And Forza has been a really consistent franchise for them through and through. But Starfield took relevancy to a whole nother level for Microsoft. Only time will tell if they build on this or not, but with their 2024 slate looking pretty good, featuring Avowed and Hellblade 2, I think it's safe to say Microsoft's going to start kicking it up a notch with relevancy. I want to thank you all for checking out this video. It means a lot. If you could please drop a like if you found this content enjoyable, I would greatly appreciate it. And once again, sound off in the comment section about Starfield, speak your piece, but please try to keep it civil. Thanks for stopping by. Hope to see you all in the next one, but until then, peace.